She's back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this day, August 12th, 2019, the boss, the real boss, Sasha Banks, heel Sasha Banks, the Sasha Banks we all have wanted for years, has finally broken out of her shell. She has finally released all that frustration, returned to Monday Night Raw with a new look, a brand new attitude, and everything we have been asking for 4.5 years. Halfway through this show, and I have to start off with this because it was the biggest moment of the show. Yes, we had an excellent match between Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander. We'll go over that in a second. But Sasha Banks, after Natalya came out with her arm and elbow in a sling, because I guess she had a dislocated elbow. Don't buy that. I think that's your storyline. Because exactly what happened in the beatdown that happened, I think it was just storyline. Anyway, Sasha Banks comes out after Natalya starts talking about her father, because it's been 1 year to the day that her father passed away. Sasha's music hits. Out comes Sasha, looking like she never left. She comes out. She hugs Natalya. They have some words off microphone you can't hear. Sasha looks like she's going to grab. She wants a microphone. And all of a sudden, she turns around and elbows in a big, huge forearm to Natalya, knocking her down. All of a sudden, Sasha Banks takes her hand and rips off a wig. She had a fucking wig on, hiding her new blue hair. Sasha Banks is no longer Miss Purple. She is Team Blue in the hair department. A couple days ago, Sasha Banks put a picture out on Instagram of her in a blonde-ish, brownish hair style, and she said it was a wig. So, okay. But I never expected to see Sasha Banks come out with blue hair. Holy shit, was it a big surprise. And she beats the living hell out of Natalya. She talks trash to her, mocks her, like her being sad for her father passing away last year, takes the brace off, the sling off her arm, and just destroys Natalya's arm. Goes to grab a chair, brings it into the ring, and out comes Becky Lynch. And everything that we wanted to see is coming to fruition. This should have been the match at SummerSlam. This is going to be the match going into Clash of Champions. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. Becky finally, since WrestleMania, has somebody who is on her level. This was fan-fucking-tastic. We got a thank you Sasha chant during the beatdown of Natalya. By the way, they were in Canada. Yes, Natalya is from Canada, but she's not from Toronto. She is from Calgary. Just because she's from Canada doesn't mean that everybody in Canada is going to love Natalya. She was doing this entire speech about how she went heel to babyface like that, simply because she was talking about how she got out-wrestled last night, she got beat, she tapped out, and that Becky was the better wrestler and the better woman overall. But if I could do it all again, I would not change a thing, because I meant everything I said about Becky Lynch. And then after she went into a little heel rant right there, she's like, well, I'm going to tell you guys something. In my dreams, my dad told me, congratulations, Natty, I'm so proud of you. Gets all emotional about because her dad passed away last year. I can't attest to that because my dad's still living. But she gets emotional, and then Sasha Banks comes out, and after giving her the hug, giving her some words off microphone that we couldn't pick up, blasting her with that elbow, beating the living fuck out of her, showing off her new hair color. This was absolutely what the women's division on Monday Night Raw needed. This was fantastic. I loved every single second of this. This was what we all wanted to see. This is Sasha Banks taking a chair, blasting it over Becky's back, over and over and over again on the outside of the ring, just letting all that frustration that she has built up for years and years and years, letting it all out, going up and grabbing Becky Lynch and saying something, I can't remember what she said, and then slapping the taste out of Becky's mouth after she beat her down with a chair. Absolutely fantastic. Welcome back. Sasha Banks, the real Sasha Banks. Corey Graves, of course, went on Twitter immediately and said, "Told you so." He has been harping on this for months and about a year or so, that Sasha Banks is legitimately one of the most despicable women in the women's division, and he has not bought the facade of this goody two-shoes Sasha Banks. And the real Sasha Banks came out here tonight and showed us that the ratchet Sasha Banks that we knew in NXT, the Sasha Banks who faced Bayley in that women's Iron Woman match, 30-minute Iron Woman match, and threw Bayley against the LED board, and then went over and ripped a headband off of Izzy, came into the ring, and counted with the referee, and just made Izzy cry, was a thing of beauty. That's the Sasha Banks we need. That's the Sasha Banks we have been asking for a long time. I am absolutely ecstatic to see Sasha Banks back and being the Sasha Banks that we all wanted. I would kill to see this feud between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks go until, of course, Survivor Series. So about Survivor Series, you have Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell. Give us a break for Survivor Series, and we get it going into TLC, and then you end it at TLC. Unless you want to give us the second ever women's Hell in a Cell match, Sasha's second, of course, would be Becky Lynch, but her first, of course, being against Charlotte. You could give us Becky versus Charlotte versus Sasha Banks in Hell in a Cell, and honestly, I think that match would be leagues better than the last time the women were in Hell in a Cell. Just nothing but high marks for that. I don't know who pitched it, who came up with this idea, who had this entire thing planned out. I love it. Just cannot wait to see. Just like The Fiend last night, don't fuck this up, Vince. These two women could be the saving grace for the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Do not fuck this up. Period. The other big thing about this show is that we had Cedric Alexander take on Drew McIntyre in what was to be a preview for a big announcement that happened on this show. During the first commercial break, I believe, after we had the long-winded promo for Seth Rollins, which wasn't a cringe promo, but it wasn't a great promo because it is what it is. But they announced that the King of the Ring will be coming back next week. Now, the promo made it seem like it was going to be the King of the Ring next week, and that was it. No, it's 8 superstars from Raw, 8 superstars from SmackDown, and I'm hoping that if they can plan this out right, you have 5 weeks to go until we get to the next pay-per-view, which is Clash of Champions. Every single championship will be on the line. The men's championships, the women's championships, the cruiserweight championship, all the titles will be on the line. So I'm hoping if they build the King of the Ring right, you have the finals take place at Clash of Champions. That would be the only non-championship match, and the winner, which I don't want to see this person be the winner, but I think I know who's going to be winning the King of the Ring. There was someone saying that their sources in WWE says we're getting King Baron Corbin. I can fully see them giving Baron Corbin the King of the Ring. Do I want to see Baron Corbin win King of the Ring? Oh, hell no. But I would not put it past WWE to give Baron Corbin the King of the Ring. They have not used him since Extreme Rules. He will be in King of the Ring. So will Cedric Alexander. So will Drew McIntyre. And I can't remember who else they put out there. One of the big complaints, and one of the biggest problems I have with this already is during Cedric Alexander's match with Drew McIntyre, I believe it was, Michael Cole just quick named all 8 competitors for Monday Night Raw, and I'm like, hold the hell on. This is King of the Ring, the first King of the Ring they've done since Wade Barrett won it back in 2015, I believe. You should treat this match, with this entire tournament thing with a little bit more decency and make it feel like it's a big deal. Having Michael Cole just blurt out on commentary who's the 8 superstars for Monday Night Raw just takes away a little bit from the King of the Ring. It's like, this isn't important. We're just going to name all 8 guys for Raw right now. There you go. Instead of having a graphic show up, who's the 8 guys going on for Monday Night Raw, let's just have it all blurted out. Then they have a little segment later in the show in which they flashed up 16 guys. I saw all, from the people that I can actually realize who it was, Baron Corbin, Ali, Samoa Joe, Andrade, I believe, Sami Zayn, I believe, was in there too. Ricochet, I think, was in there too. It's just so they were just flashing so many guys, I couldn't pick up who was all in the match. Like, we need to have a graphic showing up for Raw and SmackDown. These are not to be SmackDown versus Raw matches until we get to the finals. The finals needs to happen at Clash of Champions, and the winner gets a title shot at. I wish they were doing this in the during June or July, with the winner going to SummerSlam for a title match. The winner needs to get a championship opportunity, whether that be at the Royal Rumble, Hell in a Cell, TLC, or Survivor Series. I don't care. But unfortunately, I believe WWE is going to give the title, the King of the Ring, to Baron Corbin. The King of the Ring is traditionally won by a heel, unless it's like Edge when he won it, because Christian turned heel on him and smashed his King of the Ring trophy. Usually somebody who wins King of the Ring is usually a heel. So anybody who's a big babyface, I don't see winning King of the Ring. When I see full graphics, I will talk about it this coming Saturday on Unscripted. It'll be the first thing we probably talk about. But yes, that was the second and biggest thing that they had for this entire show. Moving on to Monday Night Raw, we had Seth Rollins come out because, yes, he won the Universal Championship last night. Paul Heyman was here tonight, of course, on screen. He is the executive director. He did go into a locker room that said Brock Lesnar, but that, of course, could have been from last night because Brock Lesnar probably was not here. He probably went home, which, of course, he does live in Canada. So he probably took a bus home. He's probably on his way home right now. Rollins says he didn't know if he had what it took to beat Lesnar. He talks about how tough it was the last few weeks, where he went into the match not at 100% or as confident as he should have. He praises Lesnar and calls him a beast slayer. Chant starts up. Rollins says when he emptied his tank out and had nothing left, something happened. The fans came alive. And in that moment, fans took him to a place he's never been in his entire career, a place he couldn't go on his own, a place only we could go together. In that moment, Rollins knew he had what it took to slay the beast, and he remembered that he is Seth freaking Rollins, and that's why he stands here as the champion, and out comes the OC. So this all led to AJ Styles challenging Seth Rollins to a champion versus champion match for later in the night. So Seth Rollins does accept, and that was what is going to be our main event. I'm hoping this isn't leading. If Ricochet would have won the United States Championship last night, I could see this leading to Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for the Universal Championship at Clash of Champions, with possibly AJ taking the title or prolonging it to Hell in a Cell. But it was just a champion versus champion match tonight, so not much else there. Before we got to the show tonight, we had a 2 out of 3 falls match announced, so I was like, oh shit, here we go again. And we also had another match that it felt like WWE and Vince McMahon is trying to hold on to this no wrestling during commercial breaks. That honestly was not the case tonight, and the 2 out of 3 falls match was kind of shocking how it ended. Andrade versus Rey Mysterio would be in that 2 out of 3 falls match. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz, as we know. And Kairi and Asuka would take on the tag team champions of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the tag team titles. The Street Profits, which, man, am I getting tired of the Street Profits on Monday Night Raw. If you're not getting these guys in the wrestling ring and doing what they do best on these shows, I don't want to see them. Montez Ford is fucking money in NXT. He is coming off as annoying as can be on Monday Night Raw. Just get these guys in the ring. I guess they had an after party after SummerSlam last night, because of course they probably did. Apparently, Angelo Dawkins was partying way too long last night, because he's sitting there while Montez Ford is all hyped and ready to, go for, hype up the show. Dawkins just sitting there looking like he smoked a little too many Mary Janes and didn't get enough sleep last night. Just dehydrated, he said, just looking out of it. Later in the night, when they do another one of these, he's pretty much sitting there in a chair, just out of it. And I'm thinking, that is the perfect representation of WWE fans watching Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis. They're sitting there, and by the time they get through the first two segments, they're just sitting there in their chairs, passed out, sleeping. But at this point, Sami Zayn comes in and offers some friendly advice. Just enjoy this while it lasts, because the longer you're here, this place will suck the soul out of you. The fans will suck your soul right out of you. It happens to everybody. Ranting about Seth Rollins, how he used to be the architect, he used to be vile, he used to be awesome, and now he's just a pandering loser. Becky Lynch, when she became the man, it was real, it felt great, she felt awesome. Now it's just manufactured, and honestly, I can actually agree with that. When Becky Lynch turned supposedly heel last year, or tried to turn heel last year on Charlotte Flair, it felt real when the fans rejected it, and she became the man. After Ronda Rousey left, everything has felt forced, everything has felt manufactured, and after what happened tonight, I hope we can get back to what Becky Lynch was before WrestleMania, as she was building towards a fight with Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Angelo Dawkins asked him, does that happen to everybody? And Sami Zayn says yes. And Dawkins says, what about Samoa Joe? Unbeknownst to Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe was right behind him as he starts talking shit on Samoa Joe. He says, oh, well, Samoa Joe used to be a killer when he came here 3 years ago, and now, look at him, he's being, oh, Roman, I'm sorry, can somebody help my best buddy Roman? And Joe's like, hurry! And just tells him to, you know what, since I'm such a little soft, yeah, I'll give you a chance to file your grievances out there in the ring. He walks away and heads towards the ring, and that would be our first match. And after we went to commercial break, we came back and they announced the King of the Ring tournament starting next week. Hey WWE, when you have this kind of promo, you should at least tell us that it's starting next week and it's not just next week. The last King of the Ring tournament happened in the early days of the WWE Network, where the episode of Monday Night Raw before, they had an episode of Monday Night Raw, which was half of the tournament, and then the next night, which of course is before SmackDown was taped, or after SmackDown was taped, they had the finals and the semifinals, I believe, and the finals of the King of the Ring tournament on the network, which of course was won by Wade Barrett by, I believe, beating Adrian Neville, aka Pac. So you at least could make it seem like and not like mislead people to think that we're getting a King of the Ring tournament on Monday next week, and that is it. 8-person tournament for Raw, 8-person tournament for SmackDown, 16 superstars. I fully expect this to hopefully lead to the Clash of Champions being where the finals will be taking place. It might not be the King of the Ring pay-per-view, but at least we have a King of the Ring. Will this be any better than Sheamus, William Regal, or Wade Barrett's time as King of the Ring? Probably not, especially if it goes to Baron Corbin, which I fully expect them to do, simply because WWE cannot help themselves. Sami Zayn vs. Samoa Joe. This went quick as Samoa Joe gets a Coquina clutch on Sami Zayn after about 2 minutes. That was a tap out, and that was that. After the match, Joe takes the mic and says he needs to be clear. He forgives Roman for the backstage stuff, but that forgiveness is extended to no one else. To no one who helped propagate the lies that was behind the attack, and for that, he will never forgive any of these people. The fans, of course. So anyone thinking that what Samoa Joe did last week to look after Roman Reigns after somebody tried to kill him or hit him with a car, that is not the case. This guy is still a full-blown heel, even though everyone cheers for him. Still to come, Steve Austin will discuss Lesnar vs. Rollins for SummerSlam. Why this needs to happen, I have no idea. Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. We come back, and in comes Miz is here. He go to break. Back we come, and Dolph Ziggler is out, but he's wearing street clothes, clutching his ribs after getting hit with 3 spears and a jackhammer last night at SummerSlam because this dude could not keep his mouth shut. He enters the ring and goes and takes the mic, but fans start chanting for Goldberg. He says he hopes Miz is happy and calls him a coward. Says everyone knows Miz didn't have a chance against Ziggler at SummerSlam, so he sicked Goldberg on him. This must be all part of Miz's master plan because he's a genius. He says he took too many spears last night that he's not medically cleared to compete. Miz is screwed because Miz won't get a match against him tonight, so his plan won't come through. He knows these Canadians want to see the match, but it's too damn bad. Drop the mic. Ziggler goes to leave, and Miz, with the dumb babyface syndrome, decides to turn his back on Ziggler. Ziggler runs into runs over there and starts beating him down in the corner. This match happens as we go to break. We come back from break, and the match is in progress as Dolph Ziggler was in control from the start in the middle of the commercial break. It felt like with the way this entire thing was going that we were going to go to commercial break, we were going to come back, and the ref was going to ring the bell with no wrestling during commercial breaks. That was not the case. I'm glad Paul Heyman did something right so far. I don't know how many more weeks I was going to be able to handle no wrestling during commercial breaks. I think that was an absolute joke. Long story short, Miz finally taps out to a figure four after Ziggler taps out to a figure four after Miz locks it on him. He tries to get away or turn it over. Couldn't get it done. Big time tap out. After the match, Miz celebrates and his music hits, rolling to the floor. Standing tall, Ziggler takes the mic and taunts Miz from the mat just like he did with Goldberg at SummerSlam. Ziggler says Miz isn't even the best wrestler in his family. Maryse is. Miz marches back to the ring like Goldberg did last night. Ziggler stumbles to his feet right as the Miz catches him with a skull-crushing finale, and that was that. I think it's about time that Dolph Ziggler made his exit from WWE again. This guy has nothing to do but be a loser, a loser, a loser, a loser. That's all he's going to do. He came back right after WrestleMania, right after Backlash, was it? Backlash, the pay-per-view, right? Whatever that pay-per-view was. He came back after the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania because Kevin Owens didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia and lost to Kofi Kingston. Then he lost again to Kofi Kingston. Then he lost again to Kofi Kingston. Then he lost again and again and again and again and again and again. He is a multiple-time loser. Send this guy to his comedy tour. I guess his comedy tour wasn't paying the bills, so he had to go knock on Vince McMahon's door and try and stay around for a little while. Enough of it. I am over The Miz. The Miz is not worth keeping around, period. Charlie Caruso is backstage with Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. She congratulates Lynch, and Lynch thanks her but takes the mic and handles the interview on her own. Says she didn't come to celebrate. Natalya owed her a debt, and she cashed it at SummerSlam. She has respect for Natalya and says she previously warned that she was coming to get anyone who has wronged her in the locker room. Says she isn't done with this cat and mouse game and warns them to get her before she gets them. Game on. Hands the thing back to Charlie and heads off. This, of course, would not be the last time we see Becky Lynch tonight. Elias is in the ring, and he wants someone to interrupt him because he's tired of getting his concerts interrupted. He tries it 2 times, starts to play, and out comes Ricochet, who is still dressed half in his Nightwing suit from the night before, but ditched the gloves and ditched the top. So, at least that was taken away. Elias, he says, nobody interrupts Elias because it's the cool thing to do. It's because you suck. So we get ourselves an impromptu match, Ricochet versus Elias. This match ends with Ricochet hitting a... Elias puts the guitar, goes for a guitar, the referee stops him from swinging it. Elias puts the guitar in the corner and turns back around with a big kick to the head from Ricochet. Ricochet stumbles to the top rope, but Elias goes for the guitar. Ricochet leaps from the top, jumps into a roll-up for the 1, 2, 3. And that was that. Backstage, we see Rey Mysterio walking, and we go to commercial break. SummerSlam, they hyped SummerSlam week in Boston 2020, so anybody in the New England area next year, you get SummerSlam, and better than that, you get NXT TakeOver Boston, so get ready for that. 2 out of 3 falls, Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. Why did this need to be a 2 out of 3 falls match? We've just seen a 2 out of 3 stages of hell match on Saturday. I never want to see in NXT, in WWE, in AEW, in New Japan, in Impact Wrestling, in Ring of Honor. I don't care what fucking wrestling company it is. I don't want to see another fucking 2 out of 3 falls match for the rest of 2019. This is overkill. Enough. Andrade wins the first fall after Zelina Vega helps him roll. After he rolls up Rey Mysterio, and Zelina Vega keeps his legs down, keeps Andrade's legs down on the mat. Of course, they say this has been a bad night for the referees because the official didn't see it. What they meant by that, of course, is during the Ricochet and Elias match, Ricochet got a pin on Elias, but Elias's left shoulder was up off the mat, or right shoulder, whichever one was off the mat. Which, that one definitely didn't look planned, and this one, of course, was planned. Nice, these guys have another, they had the second fall. Andrade, at one point in this match, the Canadian Destroyer in this match that Rey Mysterio tried to hit looked absolutely fucking brutal. Rey Mysterio was on the outside, leaps over Andrade, and goes for the Destroyer, and I don't know what the hell happened, but Andrade landed so badly. It looked fucking terrible. Andrade ends up winning this match clean sweep with a hammerlock DDT after Rey Mysterio goes up, hits the 619, goes up for the frog splash, but he takes his time for whatever reason. Zelina Vega is off on the other side of the ring, so it's not her fault. He gets up on the top rope and just starts looking out to the crowd and cheering, like hyping the crowd up. Goes up, goes to the frog splash, but Andrade gets his knees up, brings him up, hammerlock DDT, 1, 2, 3. Clean sweep. The last time a 2 out of 3 falls in WWE went to a 2-0 clean sweep was the Usos versus Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin in what was a Royal Rumble kickoff show from, I believe, 2 years ago. 3 years ago, maybe now. So, it's been a long time, and of course, we've had too many 2 out of 3 falls matches, but this one went 2 straight, and I'm really surprised at that. I'm thinking it may. And Rey Mysterio signed a 2-year deal, I believe, last year. He had an 18-month opt-out, so he could wrestle in the first 18 months of that contract. He could opt out and leave WWE if he so pleased. Ray, I think it's time, if that opt-out's still valid, I think it's time to use it. WWE does not know what to do with you. WWE has nothing for you. I would opt out, and I'm not saying go to AEW because I think that would just be too cliche, but go make the rounds in Japan. You've been wanting to do a lot more in New Japan. Jushin Thunder Liger's final match is coming up at Wrestle Kingdom. Quite honestly, I believe Rey Mysterio would be the perfect last opponent for Jushin Thunder Liger at Wrestle Kingdom in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's just my opinion. Him and WWE just does not mesh well in 2019. Rey Mysterio would do way better in possibly AEW if you wanted to go there, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, or even, and I don't think this would ever happen, but Impact Wrestling as well. Any of those other options would be better for Rey Mysterio than WWE at this time. He signed a 2-year deal last year, 18-month opt-out if I'm correct, from what I've heard or read. If I believe he's still under that 18 months, I think it's time he needs to opt out because, quite honestly, they don't know what to do with him. They have nothing for him. And quite honestly, I know what he wants to do. He wants to try and have this last run of his be where he passes the mask on to his son. I don't want to see this, and quite honestly, I think it's just time for Rey Mysterio to head out of here. We come back from break, and we see Seth Rollins capture the Universal title from Seth Rollins. We see Steve Austin discuss the match. Fans pop as Austin joins Cole live via Skype. Austin talks about Seth Rollins impressing him and say the match was badass. Austin goes on to praise Rollins and says he committed to being the best in the world, and when you think like that, you can do anything. That's how Rollins impresses Austin. Austin spoke with Rollins at Raw Reunion and gave him some advice, just telling him to stay focused, go on with his, and praises the respect for Rollins. Cole thanks him and plays the Straight Up with Steve Austin series that premiered right after the show. Why was this necessary? I know they had to have Austin on for Straight Up Steve Austin, which of course premiered, and it should be, I don't know if it's a half an hour show or an hour show. It should be either over or almost over. But having an excuse to have Austin on the show to praise Seth Rollins for what he did in his match is absolutely ridiculous. That was That did not do Seth Rollins any favors whatsoever. Seth Rollins does not need the backing of Steve Austin. You don't need Steve Austin to tell you that that match was excellent, that match was badass or anything. If you can't form your own opinion, that's your own fault. Does WWE really think their fans are that fucking stupid that they have to have Stone Cold Steve Austin to tell you that the match was fucking badass or anything? Give me a fucking break. Did not need Austin in that segment. Did not need Austin at all. Yes, they wanted to promote straight up Steve Austin. But here's my question. When were they when Steve Austin started the Broken Skull Ranch challenge or the show on CMT? What about his Redneck Island show? They went there to promote that. Just because this one's on USA Network, they feel like obligated. They have to promote it. No reason to have Stone Cold Steve Austin via Skype on Monday Night Raw. Just plain and simple on that one. Backstage, Charlie Caruso was Rey Mysterio asking about what just happened. Rey says he's not sure where his career is going because he's never lost 2 straight falls like that. But he knows he has a family support. Curly asks him if he's trying to say something. He goes and says, "My family." He's getting all teary-eyed and emotional. I don't know fucking why. And just walks off, trying to prevent himself from crying. I don't know where they're going with Rey Mysterio, but Rey, seriously, dude. You have an opt-out in your contract from what we've read and what people have read. Please, oh please, oh please, use that opt-out and get the fuck out of WWE. They're wasting your final years, and I honestly want to see you go give wisdom to other people. Go have a few more matches in New Japan. I know you wanted to have a couple matches in New Japan. I know you got one. Was supposed to have 2, but you got injured on that other one. Don't waste the rest of your career in WWE because, quite honestly, you don't mesh with the WWE at this time. Backstage with the Street Profits again. Angelo Dawkins is really sleeping, and I mentioned this already. And then we go to the match of the night after Drew McIntyre is backstage with Sarah Schreiber. She asks him about the next match with Cedric Alexander, mentioning this about this rivalry, and says, if she is implying that this feud will continue after tonight, but it won't, it's ending tonight. Cedric, and he goes on about Cedric and how close he is to Roman Reigns, and says he will cave Cedric's skull in tonight with his boot, and that Cedric's little fairy tale will be over. Cole did mention that these 2 will be in the King of the Ring next week, so that's 2 of the 8 performers for Monday Night Raw. Baron Corbin was also. It's like they mentioned, I believe, Sami Zayn and like 5 and a bunch of other guys, but I remember the last name he mentioned was Baron Corbin, and I'm like, well, I know who's winning the King of the Ring. It's going to be Baron fucking Corbin because WWE cannot help themselves. Baron Corbin, even in the King of the Ring, is not something I want to see. That spot could probably go to somebody else, but they don't want to give it to anybody else because they want to push Baron Corbin. And since Seth Rollins did lose the WWE Universal Championship to Brock Lesnar at Extreme Rules, there's the stipulation that Baron Corbin cannot face Seth Rollins anymore for the title. Null and void. I know Lacey Evans can't go for Becky Lynch as long as she's still champion because she hasn't lost the title yet. But since Seth lost the Universal Championship, does the Universal Championship side of that stipulation get null and void, or since he's champion again, can Baron Corbin not challenge for that title? Somebody clarify that one for me. Drew McIntyre versus Cedric Alexander. This was a fantastic match. These 2 put on a match of the night. Match like for Monday Night Raw. If you want to do a match of the year for Monday Night Raw, they put a match of the year for Monday Night Raw candidate match on. This was fucking fantastic. If this is the type of match quality we're getting for the King of the Ring, sign me the fuck up for every match that does not have Baron Corbin in it. Just saying. Hell of a match, however many spots. Lumbar check on the outside by Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander gets lifted over Drew McIntyre's head onto the concrete / the entrance ramp, which, by the way, they need to move a little bit further and closer to that entrance ramp because there is a slab of concrete in between the ramp and the padding. So Cedric Alexander took a nice long hit. Spanish fly off of the top rope. Thing of fucking beauty. Kick out. Cedric can't believe it. Fans chant, "This is awesome." Drew McIntyre blocks a lumbar check. Cedric counts as a reverse Alabama Slam, but as you recall, the first time these guys had a match together, that's how Drew McIntyre lost to Cedric Alexander. Roll up, 1-2, kick out. Drew kicks out at 2. Drew ends up hitting a huge claymore out of nowhere. Cedric Alexander with a 360 flip, pretty much landing on his face. 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre is your winner. The UFC is backstage talking about Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. AJ promises to run through Seth Rollins tonight and says one day Rollins will be a great champion. I don't know when that's going to be, but tonight I'll run through him. He says he leads by example. After tonight, the universe will know who the real champ is, and they too sweet, and that is that. Paul Heyman is walking backstage. He enters Brock Lesnar's locker room, which again could have just been there from last night because there was no Brock Lesnar on this show, and Brock Lesnar was probably already out of Toronto and back in Saskatchewan by now. Paul Heyman backstage, back from breaking Charlie Cruz. So it's outside of Brock Lesnar's locker room, waiting for the interview with Paul Heyman. But before we get that interview, we have No Way Jose versus Robert Roode. I'm going to be real honest, I thought Robert Roode either retired or was fired from WWE weeks ago. I'm going to be straight up honest. I didn't even realize this guy was still part of the WWE. It's that sad because just think, 2 years ago, Bobby Roode, was the biggest and best heel at the time in NXT. They bring him up to be this babyface, and he died 1,000 deaths in 2 weeks. Tag team champion with Chad Gable at the beginning of the year, cuts off the beard, gets a handlebar mustache or a Rick Rude type mustache, turns heel, becomes a big time heel for about a minute. Has a couple matches, I believe, with Ricochet, and then disappears so he could grow his beard back because apparently Vince McMahon didn't like the mustache. Match didn't last very long. Glorious DDT, 1, 2, 3, and Robert Roode is your winner. My bad. Don't want to call him Bobby. Charlie Cruz is backstage with Paul Heyman. Heyman mocks Charlie and brings up his tweet from earlier today, which said he WWE confirmed that Brock Lesnar will get no rematch from new Universal Champion Seth Rollins. He tries to say, sum up what he has to go through to tell Brock Lesnar that he's not getting a rematch, but he's a loss of words and heads back into the locker room. Now, I swear they felt like they were setting this up because Seth Rollins was in the main event. He was going to go into that locker room, and if Brock was here, was going to go into the locker room, tell Brock was going to get pissed, and by the time the end of the show was over, Brock was going to come out and beat the holy tar out of the OCs and Seth Rollins, and demand and try and get back into the Universal title picture. But that did not happen. We'll talk about more of that later. The Revival versus the Lucha House Party. This match lasted about 2 seconds as the R-Truth music hit. They come running down the ramp. Drake Maverick behind them. Carmelo trips Drake Maverick. Brawl breaks out. Lucha House Party fighting off the superstars as they surround the ring. Revival double team Truth. Hit a Shadow Machine, I believe. A heart attack. 1, 2, 3, and the tag team of the Revival become the first ever co-champions for that terrible title. Revival celebrate. Kalisto drops with a missile dropkick. SDS on Dawson. Carmella pulls Truth on top of Dawson for the 1, 2, 3, and he becomes a 12-time champion. They get out of the ring. They run back to gorilla position. Everyone walks off, and then they come off the opposite side and go down and around. They're celebrating backstage. Elias shows up, hits Truth from behind, and becomes a 3-time 24/7 joke of a champion. There you go. The Revival, R-Truth, and Elias win the championship tonight. Whoop the fucking do. We look at the Roman Reigns video again because they are beating you over the goddamn head with this Roman Reigns stuff. And after they show this video package for the 500 millionth time since last Tuesday, Michael Cole said, "Oh, we'll find out more of this tomorrow night." As if you couldn't just wait and just be like, well, more information and everything will be talked about tomorrow night. We didn't need to see the video package again and again and again. We saw it, I believe, 3 times at SummerSlam. We didn't need to see it tonight. Fans are not, the fans' attention span is not that short. God damn, man. Natalya comes out. We already talked about this. Best part of the fucking show. Says she had a dislocated elbow, has an MRI coming tomorrow. This is where we were supposed to take back what she said about Becky. She doesn't. She talks about her dad, and all of a sudden, out comes Sasha Banks. Gets a pop, stomps, and greets the fans at ringside. She enters the ring and hugs Natalya. They do some friendly words, and Banks goes for the mic, but turns and drops Natty out of nowhere. The crowd with a big, wild with a mixed reaction. Banks takes off the purple wig and reveals some new blue hair. Banks pounds on Natalya as a holy shit chant breaks out. Banks sends Natalya into the corner and continues to beat down, tosses Natalya to the floor, and follows. Sends Natalya into the steel steps, and a thank you Sasha chant breaks out. Banks with another shot to the steps. Banks brings Natalya back to the ring, grabs a steel chair. With a running kick to the head and some more stomps, and out comes Becky Lynch. They rushes to the ring. They brawl. Banks takes it to the floor and sends Lynch into the barrier a few times. Chance this is awesome. Banks grabs a steel chair and smacks Lynch over the back with it again and again and again and again and again and again. Holy shit, this was badass. She unloads with the chair shot some more and then backs off as the referees and security and everyone come around. Sasha Banks is back. Not goody two-shoe Boston Hug Connection Sasha Banks, the real Sasha Banks. I am so happy. Oh my god. They could have went offline, off the air after they could have just said, good night everybody, that is Monday Night Raw, and I would have said, that's the best Monday Night Raw we've had in a long fucking time. That was the segment of the fucking year. If you have to take top 10 things to happen this year, yes, of course, Roman Reigns being back from leukemia is going to be number one. This is number two by a long shot, especially if you're doing just Monday Night Raw. This is number two, because this is something we have wanted for a long time. She came up in 2015 with Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, was part of Team Bad with Naomi and Tamina. Was an awful, awful storyline. They gave her a hint of being a heel when she came back after, I think she was injured for a minute back in 2015 or 16. She turned on, I believe it was Charlotte or Becky, whoever it was, laying claim to the title, but it wasn't the Sasha Banks that we saw tonight. Then, of course, we had last year, before the Boston Hug Connection thing happened, where Bayley was the one to look like she was turning heel until they did that in stupid-ass, we're going to send you to therapy segments. That was fucking awful. This is the Sasha Banks we needed. This is the Sasha Banks we love. This is the Sasha Banks we should have had a long time ago. This is Sasha Banks with the frustration of being overlooked, underutilized, and pretty much just thrown to the wayside for women like Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans, Natalya, and so on and so forth. This is the feud we wanted for Becky Lynch. This was the feud that we should have seen coming out of WrestleMania. Things happen. Sasha's back. Blue hair. Definitely something I have to get used to. What a hell of a return. I can't say anything else. We go from that to the Viking Raiders versus Jobber 1, Jobber 45, and 46. Viking experience, I'm sorry, I can't say that. Thor's hammer after about 2 minutes. 1, 2, 3, moving on. Star's backstage with women tag team champions. They're confident about retaining the titles over Asuka and Kairi Sane. Bliss says they get results when they team with them against the world, and they walk off. And then we get that match, the Kairi Sane and Asuka versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. No Paige for this night as she had to undergo another neck surgery. Speedy recovery for Paige. I hope she gets better and can actually come back soon because, quite honestly, neck surgery probably is not fun. I know she has a very, very bad neck. Paige is never going to be one of those people, even if she wanted to wrestle again, could ever wrestle again, because one bump and she would be either dead or paralyzed. This match was, I don't know. Bliss and Nikki Cross retain. I did not expect them to lose the tag team titles so soon. They just won them last week. Twisted Bliss off the top rope after a purge by Nikki Cross to Kairi Sane. 1, 2, 3. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss retain. It's like the team of Kairi Sane and Asuka. You brought Kairi Sane up to team with Asuka to groom these two and put them in a tag team to to build them up to be tag team champions. That disappeared after a good while because you didn't know what to do with the Idiotics. I will never call them anything else. They are the Idiotics, just saying. And then you had them come out and have this fatal four-way last week, be the last team eliminated, and then have a match tonight and lose again. The team of Asuka and Kairi Sane are losers. Can we get these two go back out in NXT? I think, in my opinion, the Io Shirai heel turn, I know it was awesome, and it's like the match she had with Candice LeRae was awesome. But in my opinion, had Kairi Sane still been in NXT, Kairi Sane would have been in Io Shirai's, not Io Shirai's, but Kairi Sane would have been in Candice LeRae's spot, and we would have seen Io versus Kairi Sane, and that, I think, would have been an excellent match. But it didn't happen. Rollins is backstage. He says he's the champion. AJ Styles only wishes he could be. Rollins says he did what AJ couldn't. He beat Brock Lesnar twice. He also did something Roman couldn't do twice. Beat Brock Lesnar twice. He beat Brock Lesnar clean. Something nobody has done since, I think, John Cena did at Extreme Rules 2012. Or yeah, I don't think Brock Lesnar's lost clean. And no, Roman Reigns beating Brock Lesnar last year at SummerSlam was not clean. That was Brock Lesnar getting beat because of a distraction from Braun Strowman. That is not clean. This, I believe, is the first time Brock Lesnar lost clean since I guess that cage match that he had with Triple H was a clean loss if he lost that one. But yeah, Brock hasn't lost clean in a very, very long time. Big deal. Big deal. Says he will stomp AJ in the head tonight to remind him who the champ is around here, and he walks off. AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins is our main event. The OC were at ringside. This was the non-title main event. Champion versus champion. Why this match is happening tonight is beyond me. If you're building for AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins at Clash of Champions, why is he still the United States champion? Why did you not have Ricochet win the championship? If Ricochet would have won the championship last night and you still wanted to build to AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins, then you do it. I understand why they didn't take the title off of AJ because you just put the OCs together again and you don't want to take that away from them. But if you want to have him challenge for the Universal Championship again, why is he still a U.S. champion? Will he lose? Will he be in double duty and lose the U.S. title and then go and face off against Seth Rollins? Who the hell knows? We have to wait and see. This match was good. I think this match was better than what they did at Money in the Bank. I think that was the pay-per-view they wrestled at, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, Money in the Bank. Oh, that's right. It was Money in the Bank, wasn't it? Yeah, because they canceled Backlash and put it to Stomping Grounds. But yeah, Money in the Bank. That's right. Yeah, Money in the Bank. This was, I think, a better match than that. Of course, the OCs got involved. The OCs got thrown out at the end of the match. They ended up getting back into the ring, beat the hell out of him. Disqualification, Seth Rollins is your winner. After the battle, Seth Rollins tries to fight off the OCs, but the numbers catch up to him, and out comes Ricochet, who I guess is not done with AJ Styles, even though I feel like having Ricochet versus AJ Styles again makes no sense. They've already done 4 matches between these two guys. I don't want to see another match between these two right now. Give me AJ Styles versus fucking Cedric Alexander or Drew McIntyre or somebody else. Because it's just, if you give me another match between Ricochet and AJ Styles, it's overkill. Now, if you're giving me Ricochet versus AJ Styles to take the title off of AJ Styles to get him a match against Seth Rollins, fine, whatever, but it's got to end. We've got to end Ricochet versus AJ Styles. That doesn't last very long as Ricochet gets taken out by the OCs. They go back to take on Seth Rollins, and out comes the world's largest loser, the loser among men, Braun Strowman, who hasn't been seen since Extreme Rules, I believe, or the Battle Royal the next night. He comes out, he takes out the OCs, and Ricochet, Seth Rollins, and Braun Strowman are standing tall. The only positive about this that I can think of, or the big positive about this is, it did not lead to a 6-man tag match tonight because it was 2 minutes left in the show. The The Cedric Alexander versus Drew McIntyre and the Sasha Banks heel turn beatdown segment were the best parts of this show, bar none. Nothing else was going to come close. Other than that, this show was average at best. So if you want it, I can't say this was a terrible show because of those two segments. I just can't. I would be doing injustice to Cedric Alexander, Drew McIntyre, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Natalya, who all played their parts well in the parts that they did. So I would have to give this a thumbs in the middle, leading to, I just have to say thumbs in the middle show. If I was going that route, if I were to do a 5-star rating, I would say a 3.5. This show was not completely terrible because of those two segments. Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles we've seen once before. I'm glad we didn't see it multiple times. I'm hoping this isn't leading to Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles at Clash of Champions, because if that's the case, then why is AJ Styles champion? All championships are going to have to be on the line, so he would have to either do double duty or lose the championship in the next 5 weeks. The only positive going into next week is we have to look forward to the King of the Ring. I'm hoping they're not going to do all 4 matches next week. I'm hoping they're going to do 2 next week and 2 the next week after that to split up King of the Ring, so you could have the first round being in the first 2 weeks, the semifinal, the second round being in the 3rd week. The 4th week could be the semifinals. The 5th week could be the contract signing for the King of the Ring finals at Clash of Champions. There you go. But that is your Monday Night Raw review for August 12, 2019. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Make sure to go check out Raw, SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown last week, as well as my predictions on SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Toronto. And then check out my double review for NXT TakeOver Toronto and SummerSlam, as well as Unscripted episode number 81. My name is Franz. I'll see you guys tomorrow for SmackDown Live. Until then, have a good one, and I'll see you guys later.